In the dusty heart of ancient Mesopotamia, where the Euphrates and Tigris rivers wound through the land like two silver serpents, a remarkable civilization flourished. This was Sumer, a place where the echoes of myth and the whispers of gods shaped every corner of daily life. Picture a city bathed in the golden light of dawn, its streets bustling with people whose lives were intertwined with a rich tapestry of legends and divine stories. The Sumerians were pioneers of civilization, creating one of the world's earliest writing systems, cuneiform, and constructing towering ziggurats that reached for the heavens. Their society was a vibrant mosaic of gods and goddesses, each with their own realms and powers. In the center of this world stood the majestic city of Uruk, a beacon of Sumerian glory where the legend of Gilgamesh was born. Imagine walking through the gates of Uruk, your steps echoing off the walls of towering stone. The people around you are immersed in rituals and prayers, their voices rising to the heavens, hoping to appease the gods who watched over them. To the Sumerians, these gods were not distant or abstract. They were as real and as present as the sun and the stars, guiding every aspect of human life with their divine influence. In Sumerian culture, myths were more than just stories. They were a lifeline, connecting the people to their gods and to each other. These tales were told and retold, shaping the values and beliefs of an entire society. Each myth was a thread in the grand tapestry of life, woven with care and reverence. They explained the mysteries of the world, from the cycle of the seasons to the nature of human existence. Through these stories, the Sumerians found meaning and comfort in a world that was often unpredictable and harsh. The Sumerians were not just storytellers, they were seekers of truth, using their myths to explore the deepest questions of life. Their epics were grand, sweeping narratives filled with drama and emotion, reflecting their hopes, fears, and aspirations. Among these, one story stood out above the rest, the Epic of Gilgamesh. This ancient epic, composed over 4,000 years ago, is a powerful testament to the Sumerian spirit. The tale of Gilgamesh is one of the most enduring legacies of Sumerian culture. It begins with a king who is part divine and part mortal, a man both revered and feared. Gilgamesh, the hero of this epic, is a figure of tremendous strength and charisma, yet his journey is one of profound personal growth and discovery. His story touches on universal themes of friendship, loss, and the quest for immortality, resonating with readers across millennia. The discovery of the Epic of Gilgamesh was like unearthing a hidden treasure chest of human emotion and wisdom. In the late 19th century, archaeologists began to uncover fragments of this ancient text, buried in the ruins of what was once a great Sumerian city. These clay tablets, inscribed with cuneiform script, revealed a story that had been lost to time. As scholars painstakingly pieced together the fragments, they uncovered a narrative that spoke to the core of what it means to be human. Every tablet found, every line translated, was a step back into a world that had been silent for centuries. It was as if the voices of the past were speaking once more, sharing their wisdom and their pain. The epic's vivid portrayal of Gilgamesh's adventures, his struggles, and his ultimate search for meaning offers a glimpse into the heart of ancient Sumerian society. As you read the words inscribed on those ancient tablets, you can almost feel the weight of Gilgamesh's journey, the burden of his quest for immortality, and the depth of his grief over the loss of his friend. The Sumerians, through their epic, offered a mirror to their own lives and to ours, showing that despite the passage of time, some struggles are universal. In the flickering candlelight of a scholar's study or the quietude of an evening by the Euphrates, the story of Gilgamesh continues to stir the soul. It reminds us of our own fears and dreams, our own search for meaning in a world that often feels beyond our control. And as we reach back into that distant past, we find that the ancient Sumerians, through their myths and their mighty epics, are still very much alive in our hearts and minds. In the shadow of towering ziggurats and amid the hum of bustling markets, the city of Uruk stood as a marvel of ancient civilization. This city, wrapped in the golden haze of the Mesopotamian sun, was a place where the past and present danced together, where legends were born and kings walked among mortals. Uruk was not just a city, it was a testament to human achievement and ambition, and at its heart was a figure who would become the stuff of legend, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was a king unlike any other. His name, whispered through the ages, evokes images of a man both mighty and enigmatic. As a historical figure, Gilgamesh was a real king of Uruk, ruling during a time when the city was a beacon of culture and power. His reign, set against the backdrop of an extraordinary city, was marked by grand achievements and profound challenges. But it was his mythical persona that would forever capture the imagination of generations. In the world of myth, Gilgamesh was more than just a king. He was a demigod, born of a mortal king and a goddess. This divine heritage made him a figure of immense strength and charisma, a leader whose very presence commanded awe and respect. The stories of Gilgamesh painted him as a hero of unmatched prowess, a man whose exploits defied the bounds of ordinary human experience. Yet, beneath this veneer of invincibility, there was a deep, raw humanity that made him both extraordinary and relatable. Uruk itself was a city of grandeur, a jewel in the crown of Sumerian civilization. Its walls, built of massive mud bricks, stretched high into the sky, encircling a thriving metropolis that was a hub of trade, culture, and innovation. Within these walls, life thrived in a swirl of activity and creativity. The streets were alive with the sounds of merchants hawking their goods, artisans crafting masterpieces, and scholars debating the mysteries of the universe. The Euphrates River, flowing gracefully beside the city, was more than just a source of water. It was the lifeblood of Uruk, nurturing its fields and sustaining its people. Gilgamesh's reign over Uruk was a time of great prosperity and ambition. His leadership was marked by monumental projects that sought to enhance the city's grandeur. Under his rule, Uruk was not merely a collection of buildings and streets, but a vibrant living entity, pulsating with the energy and spirit of its people. The construction of massive city walls, temples, and ziggurats was a testament to his vision and determination. Each project was more than an architectural feat. It was a symbol of Gilgamesh's desire to leave a lasting legacy, a mark of his greatness that would endure through the ages. Yet, despite his achievements and his godlike attributes, Gilgamesh was not without his flaws. The early depictions of his character reveal a leader who was as flawed as he was powerful. He was a ruler whose strength and arrogance sometimes overshadowed his compassion. His people, while awed by his might, also felt the weight of his overwhelming presence. Gilgamesh's rule was marked by a quest for glory and a desire to surpass all others, a pursuit that sometimes led him to make decisions that were more about his own ego than the well-being of his subjects. It is in these early stories that we see a glimpse of Gilgamesh's inner turmoil. His strength and bravery were matched by a profound restlessness, a search for meaning that drove him beyond the bounds of ordinary experience. This tension between his divine heritage and his human frailties painted a complex portrait of a man who was both a hero and a seeker, a king who was both revered and challenged by those around him. As the sun set over Uruk, casting long shadows over the city's grand structures, Gilgamesh's story was just beginning to unfold. His journey would take him beyond the walls of his city, into the heart of myth and legend, where he would face trials that would test the very core of his being. But it was within the walls of Uruk, amidst its grandeur and its struggles, that the legend of Gilgamesh was forged, a legend that would echo through the centuries, touching the hearts of all who heard his story. In the heart of the ancient wilderness, a creature born of the earth and the divine emerged from the dust and darkness. Enkidu, wild and untamed, was not a man like any other. His creation was a marvel of the gods, a being crafted from clay and brought to life by the breath of divinity. He roamed the wilds, his body covered in hair, his spirit as free as the untamed animals around him. Enkidu lived in harmony with nature, a stark contrast to the bustling city of Uruk where civilization thrived under the rule of King Gilgamesh. Enkidu was a force of nature, his presence a reminder of the untamed world beyond the walls of Uruk. But fate had a different plan for him. His encounter with Gilgamesh was not just a meeting of two powerful figures, it was the beginning of a bond that would change both their lives. The moment they met, it was clear that their destinies were intertwined. Gilgamesh, who had been a ruler both revered and feared, found in Enkidu a mirror to his own strength and a challenge to his arrogance. At first, their meeting was marked by conflict. Gilgamesh, with his grand ambitions and thirst for glory, saw Enkidu as a rival, a force to be reckoned with. But as they clashed, something profound began to take shape. What started as a battle of strength and will gradually transformed into a deep and unbreakable friendship. Enkidu, with his raw honesty and unblemished view of the world, brought a new perspective to Gilgamesh's life. He was not just a friend, he was a companion who challenged and complemented Gilgamesh's character, filling the void that even the grandest city could not. Together, Gilgamesh and Enkidu set out on a quest that would test their courage and forge their bond even stronger. Their first major adventure took them to the Cedar Forest, a place of both great beauty and great danger. The forest was sacred and mysterious, guarded by Humbaba, a monstrous giant who embodied the wild's wrath. The Cedar Forest was a symbol of both the divine and the daunting, a realm where the gods dwelled and where fearsome creatures roamed. Their journey into the forest was more than a physical expedition, it was a voyage into the heart of their own fears and desires. The forest was dense and dark, its towering trees reaching up like the fingers of ancient gods. The deeper they ventured, the more they felt the weight of their quest and the pressure of their own growing friendship. Each step was fraught with anticipation and trepidation, the air thick with the scent of cedar and the promise of confrontation. Humbaba, the guardian of the forest, was a figure of terror. His roar shook the very trees, and his presence was a constant reminder of the danger that awaited them. Yet, despite the fear that gripped them, Gilgamesh and Enkidu pressed on, driven by their shared sense of purpose and their unspoken bond. The confrontation with Humbaba was a test of their resolve and their strength, a battle that would define them and their quest. As they faced Humbaba, the struggle was fierce and intense. The giant was a force of nature, his power a challenge to their resolve. Yet, in the heat of battle, something extraordinary happened. The strength of their friendship, the trust they had built, became their greatest weapon. Side by side, they fought with a unity that transcended mere physical strength. Gilgamesh's bravery and Enkidu's raw power combined in a force that was unstoppable. In the end, they defeated Humbaba, not just through sheer strength, but through the bond they shared. The victory was more than just a conquest, it was a testament to their growing partnership and their shared destiny. The Cedar Forest, once a realm of fear, became a symbol of their triumph and their enduring friendship. As they emerged from the forest, victorious and changed, their quest for immortality had only just begun. The journey had deepened their bond and set them on a path that would lead them to face even greater challenges. But in that moment, as they stood together in the aftermath of their battle, it was clear that their friendship was their greatest treasure. Together, they had faced the wild and the divine, and in doing so, they had forged a connection that would endure through all the trials and tribulations that lay ahead. In the ancient world of Mesopotamia, the gods were not distant entities, they were vibrant, living forces that shaped every aspect of life. Their presence was felt in every whisper of the wind, every crack of thunder, and every flicker of the stars. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, these gods were not mere spectators, they were powerful, intervening forces that guided, challenged, and influenced the course of events. Among these divine beings was Anu, the sky god, who was considered the father of all gods. His vast and unending sky symbolized the boundary between the mortal and the divine. Anu's role in the epic was one of authority and judgment. His decisions had far-reaching effects, influencing the fates of both gods and men. When the gods were displeased or when they sought to enact divine justice, Anu's will was felt deeply, affecting the lives of those caught in the web of divine plans. Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, was another towering figure in the epic. Her beauty and power were unmatched, but her moods were as unpredictable as the wind. Ishtar's involvement in Gilgamesh's story was dramatic and intense. Her affection was fierce, yet her wrath was even fiercer. When Gilgamesh rejected her advances, she unleashed a storm of anger, sending the bull of heaven to wreak havoc on Uruk. Her actions were a reminder of how the gods' emotions could have catastrophic consequences for humans. Ishtar's influence was a blend of both allure and terror, her divine power a double-edged sword that could either bless or curse those who crossed her path. Shamash, the sun god, was a beacon of light and justice. His presence in the epic was one of guidance and support. Shamash was the divine observer who saw all things and dispensed justice with fairness. He played a crucial role in the lives of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, offering them wisdom and protection. During their quest to the Cedar Forest, Shamash's light illuminated their path, both literally and metaphorically. His guidance helped them navigate the darkness and dangers of their journey, making him a crucial ally in their quest for glory. The divine interventions in the epic were more than just miraculous events, they were pivotal moments that shaped the narrative. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu ventured into the Cedar Forest, the gods watched their every move. The forest was a sacred place, and their decision to challenge its guardian, Humbaba, was not taken lightly by the deities. The gods' reactions were swift and impactful. Shamash's aid in their battle against Humbaba was a clear sign of divine support, while Ishtar's vengeful act of sending the bull of heaven highlighted the consequences of defying the gods. Gilgamesh's relationship with the divine was complex and deeply woven into the fabric of his story. As a king with divine heritage, he was part god and part mortal, a unique position that set him apart from ordinary men. His interactions with the gods were marked by both reverence and defiance. He sought their favor and their guidance, yet he also challenged their authority and questioned their decisions. This duality was at the heart of his quest for immortality. His quest was not just a personal journey, it was a confrontation with the divine itself, a struggle to overcome the limitations imposed by the gods. The gods' influence on Gilgamesh's journey was profound. They were not just distant figures, but active participants in his quest for meaning and immortality. Their interventions, whether through blessings or curses, shaped his path and tested his resolve. Gilgamesh's relationship with the divine was a dance of power and submission, of seeking favor and challenging authority. It was a relationship that drove him to confront his own limitations and to seek answers to the most profound questions of existence. In the epic, the gods were not merely characters in a story, they were the forces that gave shape and direction to the narrative. Their presence was a reminder of the immense power they wielded and the impact they had on the world of men. Through their interventions, the gods highlighted the fragile boundary between the divine and the mortal, showing how closely intertwined these realms were. For Gilgamesh, the gods were both guides and obstacles, their influence a constant reminder of the limits of human power and the mysteries of the divine. In the shadow of a great city, under the endless sky, a profound silence fell over Gilgamesh's heart. Enkidu, his dearest friend, the one who had stood by him through thick and thin, was gone. The loss was not just a blow, it was a shattering of the very essence of Gilgamesh's world. The death of Enkidu was not merely an end to a friendship, it was the beginning of a deep, unsettling journey into the unknown. Enkidu's death was a heavy cloud hanging over the epic. His passing was more than the end of a chapter, it was the tearing apart of a bond that had defined both his and Gilgamesh's lives. To Gilgamesh, Enkidu was not just a friend, he was a brother, a companion in both triumph and turmoil. The two had faced unimaginable dangers together, and their friendship had become a cornerstone of their existence. Enkidu's death was a cruel reminder of the fragility of life, a stark contrast to the strength and invincibility they once felt. The grief that consumed Gilgamesh was a storm that swept through his soul, leaving him shattered and adrift. He wandered through the streets of Uruk, his face etched with the pain of loss, his heart heavy with sorrow. The once mighty king, who had been a symbol of strength and power, was now reduced to a man struggling with the weight of unbearable grief. His cries for Enkidu echoed through the city, a mournful testament to the depth of his loss. The vibrant world that had once been alive with their shared adventures now seemed bleak and empty without Enkidu's presence. This profound sorrow pushed Gilgamesh into a crushing existential crisis. He was faced with the harsh reality that no matter how great one's deeds or how powerful one's strength, death was an inescapable force. The realization that Enkidu, who had been so full of life, could be snatched away so suddenly, left Gilgamesh grappling with the meaning of his own existence. If even a hero like Enkidu could not escape the grasp of death, what chance did he, Gilgamesh, have? The question gnawed at him, a relentless force that made him confront the very nature of his own mortality. The impact of Enkidu's death on Gilgamesh's quest for immortality was profound. What had begun as a quest for glory and divine favor now turned into a desperate search for a way to escape the inevitability of death. Gilgamesh's grief transformed into a fierce determination to find the secret to eternal life. Enkidu's death made him acutely aware of the fleeting nature of life and the inevitability of death. The hero who had once sought fame and power now sought something far more elusive, the promise of immortality. This quest was not merely a physical journey, but a profound emotional and spiritual odyssey. Gilgamesh traveled far and wide, seeking out ancient sages and mythical beings in hopes of uncovering the secret to living forever. His quest was driven by a deep, personal pain, a yearning to find meaning in a world where death seemed to be the ultimate end. Every step he took was a step away from the life he knew, driven by the hope of overcoming the one certainty that had been so cruelly thrust upon him. The pain of Enkidu's death gave Gilgamesh's quest a new urgency. It was no longer about proving his greatness or achieving glory, it was about confronting the ultimate question of existence. Enkidu's loss was the catalyst that pushed Gilgamesh to challenge the very nature of life and death, to seek answers to questions that had once seemed distant and abstract. In his search for immortality, Gilgamesh was not just seeking to extend his own life, but to find a way to make sense of a world where death could come so suddenly and so unfairly. Enkidu's death, with all its heart-wrenching finality, was a turning point in Gilgamesh's life. It transformed his quest from a pursuit of honor to a search for a deeper, more profound truth. It was a reminder that even the greatest heroes are not immune to the cruelties of fate, and it was this realization that drove Gilgamesh to seek out the mysteries of life and death. His grief, though devastating, became the driving force behind his journey, making his quest for immortality not just a personal ambition but a profound exploration of the human condition. The quest for immortality is a road paved with hope, fear, and relentless determination. For Gilgamesh, this road was not just a path but an odyssey of the soul, driven by a desperate need to find meaning in the face of death. His search led him across treacherous landscapes and into the heart of ancient mysteries, where he sought out Utnapishtim, the one mortal granted eternal life. Gilgamesh's journey began with the daunting task of finding Utnapishtim, a figure of great myth and mystery who lived far beyond the edges of the known world. His quest took him through harsh deserts and over towering mountains, each step a testament to his unwavering resolve. The road was fraught with challenges that tested his strength and spirit. The landscapes he crossed were as harsh as they were beautiful, and every new obstacle seemed to reflect the internal struggles he faced. One of the most significant encounters during his quest was with the tavern keeper Cedar. This wise and compassionate woman, who lived by the edge of the sea, offered Gilgamesh not just advice but a glimpse of humanity's ordinary yet profound truths. She advised him to find joy in the simple pleasures of life and to cherish the moments he had. Her words were a stark contrast to his relentless pursuit of immortality, highlighting the human struggle to find meaning in a world where permanence is an illusion. Her kindness was a balm to his weary spirit, yet her wisdom also struck a chord of deep realization. The search for eternal life might come at the cost of appreciating the fleeting beauty of the present. Next, Gilgamesh faced the daunting task of crossing the waters of death, a perilous and almost impossible feat. The waters were said to be impenetrable, a barrier between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. Here, Gilgamesh encountered the ferryman Urshanabi, who became an unexpected ally in his quest. Together, they braved the treacherous waters, facing not just physical dangers but the symbolic crossing from one understanding of life to another. The journey across these waters was a trial of courage and faith, testing Gilgamesh's resolve to its limits. When he finally reached Utnapishtim, Gilgamesh was met with a revelation that would shake the very foundations of his quest. Utnapishtim, the survivor of the Great Flood, was a figure of ancient wisdom and profound experience. The story he shared was one of divine intervention and the fragility of human endeavors. He spoke of the flood that had wiped out all life, a catastrophic event that had reshaped the world. Through his narrative, Utnapishtim revealed the divine perspective on human life and the ultimate futility of seeking eternal life. Despite the flood's devastation, Utnapishtim himself had been granted immortality, but his gift came with a heavy burden of isolation and detachment from the human experience. The moral and philosophical questions raised during Gilgamesh's quest were as profound as they were disheartening. Utnapishtim's story highlighted the transient nature of human life and the divine will that governs existence. The epic posed challenging questions about the nature of life and death, the limits of human achievement, and the quest for meaning in a world where immortality is beyond reach. Gilgamesh's search illuminated the paradox of human striving. The more he sought to escape death, the more he came to understand and accept its inevitability. As Gilgamesh grappled with these revelations, his quest transformed from a search for physical immortality to a deeper understanding of what it means to live a meaningful life. The trials and encounters he faced along the way, each fraught with emotional weight and philosophical depth, brought him to a place of acceptance. His journey was not just about finding a way to live forever, but about coming to terms with the reality of human mortality and the importance of living a life filled with purpose and connection. In the end, Gilgamesh's quest was a powerful testament to the human spirit's resilience and its quest for meaning. His journey, marked by struggles and revelations, was a poignant exploration of the limits of human power and the profound truths that lie beyond the reach of immortality. Through his experiences, Gilgamesh learned that while the quest for eternal life might be beyond human grasp, the search for understanding and acceptance is a journey that can transform and enrich the soul. In the dim light of an ancient and sacred place, Utnapishtim began to recount a story that had echoed through the corridors of time, a tale that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. His voice, heavy with the weight of centuries, told of a flood that had once swept over the world, erasing all life in its path. This flood was not just a natural disaster, it was a divine act, a moment of reckoning that reshaped the very fabric of existence. As Utnapishtim spoke, the images of his story painted a vivid and haunting picture. He described how the gods, displeased with humanity, decided to send a deluge that would drown the earth. The sky darkened as torrents of rain fell endlessly, while the waters of the great abyss rose to meet them. The flood covered the mountains, turning the world into a vast, churning sea. Everything that lived was swallowed by the waters, and the once familiar landscape became a turbulent and unrecognizable expanse. In the midst of this apocalyptic scene, Utnapishtim's story took a poignant turn. He recounted how he had been forewarned by the god Ea, who revealed the divine plan and instructed him to build a massive boat. This vessel was to carry him, his family, and a selection of every living creature, preserving life through the deluge. Utnapishtim built the boat, a monumental task that required immense effort and faith. As the floodwaters rose, he and his companions were saved from the annihilation that engulfed the world outside. The flood narrative was not just a recounting of a cataclysmic event, it was a story of survival, hope, and divine intervention. The boat, as Utnapishtim described, came to rest on a mountain as the waters finally receded. When the skies cleared, and the earth was revealed once more, the survivors offered thanks to the gods for their deliverance. The gods, who had unleashed the flood as a punishment, now saw their creation with new eyes, recognizing the resilience of life and the need for renewal. The story of the flood is deeply intertwined with other ancient myths of great deluges, such as the biblical tale of Noah's Arkansas. In the biblical story, Noah is similarly warned by God to build an ark and save his family and pairs of every animal species. Both stories share striking similarities: a divinely sent flood, the building of a great boat, and the preservation of life amidst global devastation. These parallels highlight a common human theme: the struggle to find hope and continuity in the face of overwhelming destruction. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the flood story serves multiple roles. It is a powerful narrative that bridges the human and the divine, revealing the gods' capacity for both creation and destruction. It shows the gods' ability to reset the world and start anew, and it emphasizes the fragility and resilience of human life. The flood is a divine cleansing, a way to remove the old and usher in a new era. It also serves as a profound reminder of humanity's place within the larger scheme of existence. For Gilgamesh, hearing Utnapishtim's account of the flood was more than just learning about an ancient event, it was a turning point in his quest. The story underscored the divine power over human fate and the limits of human ambition. Despite Utnapishtim's own survival and immortality, the flood story revealed that even the most revered figures were subject to the whims of the gods and the inevitable forces of nature. It was a stark lesson in humility and acceptance. Utnapishtim's recounting of the flood also raised questions about the meaning of immortality and the nature of divine justice. It challenged Gilgamesh's quest for eternal life by illustrating that immortality was not necessarily a reward but rather a unique and burdensome gift. The flood stories suggested that eternal life was not a simple prize but a complex and often lonely existence, highlighting the theme that even the gods' gifts come with their own set of trials and tribulations. As Utnapishtim finished his tale, the air seemed heavy with the echoes of ancient voices and the weight of timeless truths. The flood story was a testament to the endurance of life and the power of divine forces, a story that transcended time and space to touch upon the most profound aspects of human existence. It was a narrative of destruction and renewal, a reminder of the delicate balance between creation and annihilation, and a poignant reflection on the limits of human control in the face of cosmic forces. The city of Uruk stood before Gilgamesh, its towering walls and grand buildings rising against the horizon. Yet, as he approached, there was something profoundly changed in him. The epic quest that had taken him across unforgiving landscapes and into the heart of ancient mysteries had come to an end, and with it, so had his unrelenting pursuit of immortality. Returning to his city was not the triumphant homecoming he had once envisioned. Instead, it was a moment of profound reckoning and quiet reflection. The streets of Uruk, once seen as mere stages for heroic feats, now felt different, more personal, more intimate. The city that had witnessed his greatest exploits was now the canvas for his newfound understanding of life and death. Gilgamesh's return was marked by a deep sense of acceptance, a quiet resignation to the inevitable. The once unyielding king who had sought to defy death was now coming to terms with its reality. The weight of his journey, with its trials and tribulations, had transformed him in ways he could scarcely have imagined. The quest for immortality had ended not with a grand victory but with a humbling realization. Immortality was beyond his grasp, but the life he had was his to cherish. This acceptance was not born from defeat but from a profound shift in understanding. Gilgamesh, who had once been driven by the desire to escape the clutches of mortality, now saw life with new eyes. He understood that his legacy would not be measured by eternal life, but by the mark he left on the world and the people he cherished. The experiences of his quest had imbued him with a wisdom that went beyond his previous notion of heroism. As Gilgamesh walked through Uruk, he was met with the gaze of his people, who looked upon him with a mix of awe and curiosity. He was no longer just a king who sought glory, but a leader who had confronted the deepest fears of existence. His journey had sculpted him into a figure of empathy and understanding. The transformation in Gilgamesh's character was palpable. He had grown from a ruler who sought to dominate the world to one who sought to understand and nurture it. The stories of his adventures, once told with the fervor of a warrior's triumphs, were now shared with the depth of someone who had faced the most profound questions of human existence. Gilgamesh's leadership was infused with a new sense of purpose. His experiences had taught him that true greatness lay not in escaping the end, but in living a life that resonated with meaning and connection. His people felt this shift, sensing the depth of his wisdom and the sincerity of his resolve. Reflecting on his journey, Gilgamesh saw how each trial, each encounter, and each revelation had shaped him. The battles, the flood story, the divine interventions, they were all pieces of a larger puzzle that had led him to a greater understanding of himself and his place in the world. His quest had not been in vain. It had been a path to discovering what it truly meant to live fully and to lead wisely. The impact on his leadership was profound. Gilgamesh began to govern with a compassion and insight that had been forged through his own struggles and revelations. He became a king who understood the importance of nurturing his people, building lasting structures not just of stone but of character and community. His rule was marked by a balance of strength and kindness, a blend of authority and empathy. His transformation was a beacon for his people, a reminder that even the greatest of heroes must confront the limits of their own power and the inevitability of their own mortality. Gilgamesh's acceptance of these truths was not a surrender but a deep, resonant affirmation of the human experience. His legacy was not in his quest for eternal life, but in his journey through understanding and acceptance, and in the wisdom he imparted to those who would follow. Returning to Uruk, Gilgamesh brought with him not the promise of immortality but the gift of a life lived with purpose and clarity. His experiences had given him a new perspective on his role as a leader and a new appreciation for the fleeting beauty of human life. The city that had once been a backdrop for his heroic deeds now stood as a testament to his journey, a living, breathing reminder of the power of acceptance and the enduring impact of a life well lived. In the heart of the ancient Epic of Gilgamesh, profound themes and symbols pulse with life, weaving a narrative that resonates deeply with the human experience. Mortality, friendship, and the search for meaning are not just the backbone of the story, but the very essence of its emotional and philosophical power. These themes speak to the core of what it means to be human, touching on our fears, our bonds, and our quests for purpose. Mortality stands as the epic's most piercing theme, a constant reminder of life's fragility. Gilgamesh's journey begins with his realization of his own mortality, a realization that propels him into a relentless quest for eternal life. His fear of death is palpable, driving him to seek out Utnapishtim and the secret of immortality. Yet, as the story unfolds, Gilgamesh comes to understand that the true essence of life lies not in escaping death, but in embracing its inevitability. This acceptance of mortality transforms him from a tyrant seeking eternal glory to a wise leader who cherishes the fleeting moments of life. Friendship, too, is a cornerstone of the epic. The bond between Gilgamesh and Enkidu is a powerful force that shapes their destinies. Enkidu, wild and untamed, contrasts sharply with the refined Gilgamesh. Their friendship is more than a mere alliance, it is a profound connection that brings out the best in each of them. Enkidu's presence humanizes Gilgamesh, teaching him compassion and humility. Their adventures together, battling Humbaba, slaying the bull of heaven, forge a partnership that transcends mere camaraderie. The depth of their friendship underscores the human need for connection and the strength that comes from sharing life's trials with another. The search for meaning is another theme that pulses through the epic's narrative. Gilgamesh's quest is not just a physical journey but a spiritual and existential one. He seeks to understand the nature of life and death, hoping that immortality will provide the answers. His journey through the Cedar Forest, his encounters with the gods, and his conversations with Utnapishtim are all part of this quest for a deeper understanding. In the end, Gilgamesh learns that the search for meaning does not lie in defying death, but in living a life of purpose and leaving a lasting legacy through one's actions and relationships. Symbols in the epic enrich these themes, adding layers of meaning and depth to the story. The Cedar Forest, for instance, represents both the untamed power of nature and the divine realm. Its towering trees are a symbol of strength and immortality, contrasting sharply with the vulnerability of human life. The quest to conquer this forest and defeat Humbaba is a metaphor for humanity's struggle against the forces of nature and the gods. It highlights the tension between human ambition and the natural world's vast and different power. The flood is another powerful symbol in the epic. It represents both destruction and renewal. The great deluge that wipes out all life serves as a divine reset, a way to cleanse the world and start anew. For Gilgamesh, the flood story is a stark reminder of human limitations and the transitory nature of life. It also serves as a reflection of the epic's larger themes: mortality, the divine will, and the cyclical nature of existence. The flood's destructive force ultimately reinforces the idea that while humanity may seek to control its fate, it is ultimately subject to the whims of the gods and the forces of nature. The influence of the Epic of Gilgamesh extends far beyond its ancient origins, touching later literature and culture in profound ways. Its themes of mortality, friendship, and the search for meaning resonate with countless works that followed. The flood narrative, in particular, has parallels in other cultural texts, such as the biblical story of Noah's Ark, illustrating the epic's impact on storytelling traditions. Its exploration of human emotions and existential questions continues to inspire writers, poets, and thinkers, making it a timeless piece of literature that speaks to the universal aspects of the human condition. Through its rich themes and evocative symbols, the Epic of Gilgamesh offers a mirror to our own struggles, desires, and aspirations. It is a story that captures the essence of what it means to be human, weaving together the threads of life, death, and the search for meaning into a narrative that continues to resonate through the ages. The epic's enduring power lies in its ability to touch the deepest parts of our hearts, reminding us of our own quests for understanding and the bonds that define our lives. The tale of Gilgamesh has transcended the bounds of time and place, leaving a mark on human history and culture that feels almost magical. The Epic of Gilgamesh is not just an ancient story, it is a profound reflection on the human condition, resonating through centuries with its themes of mortality, friendship, and the quest for meaning. From its origins in the ancient Mesopotamian world, the epic's legacy is a tapestry of historical and cultural significance. The story, carved into clay tablets and inscribed in cuneiform, was preserved through millennia, surviving the rise and fall of civilizations. Its impact on the cultures that came after is nothing short of extraordinary. As one of the earliest works of literature, it laid the groundwork for many of the narratives and ideas that followed, becoming a cornerstone for understanding the development of human storytelling and thought. The Epic of Gilgamesh's influence rippled across various mythologies and literary traditions. Its themes of heroism, the divine, and the struggle against the forces of nature are reflected in countless other myths and legends. The story's flood narrative, for instance, echoes in the biblical tale of Noah's Ark, highlighting how the epic's profound themes have resonated across different cultures and epochs. Its portrayal of a hero's quest and the search for immortality can be seen in later mythologies and epics, influencing how stories of great deeds and existential questions are told. Throughout history, the epic's rich tapestry has inspired numerous adaptations and reinterpretations. In literature, modern writers have drawn on Gilgamesh's themes to explore human fears and desires. Poets and novelists have crafted works that echo the epic's exploration of friendship, mortality, and the pursuit of purpose. The story's emotional depth and universal questions continue to inspire creative expressions, from epic poems to contemporary novels. In the realm of theater and film, the story of Gilgamesh has found new life. Adaptations have brought its ancient tale to modern audiences, reimagining the hero's journey and the epic's timeless themes for today's world. These adaptations not only honor the original text but also breathe new life into its powerful narrative, making it accessible and relevant to a new generation of readers and viewers. The Epic of Gilgamesh's legacy also extends to philosophical and scholarly discussions. Its exploration of human nature and the quest for meaning has sparked debates among scholars and philosophers, contributing to our understanding of ancient perspectives on life and death. The epic's enduring relevance in academic circles highlights its significance as a foundational text in the study of literature, mythology, and human thought. In every retelling and reinterpretation, the essence of Gilgamesh remains, a story of a hero grappling with his mortality, the bonds of friendship, and the search for something greater than himself. Its influence is a testament to the power of storytelling to transcend time and cultural boundaries, touching the hearts and minds of those who encounter it. The Epic of Gilgamesh's legacy is a celebration of the human spirit, a reminder of our shared struggles and triumphs, and a beacon of how ancient stories can continue to illuminate our lives. Through its impact on literature, culture, and modern interpretations, the epic stands as a timeless reminder of the universal themes that connect us all.